Let me ask you something. Are you letting fear guide your vote? Are you letting fear guide your life? During election season, we're hit with endless ads warning us about the other side. And it made me think, how many times do we let fear run our lives? I want you to share who I voted for in this video. But regardless of whether you and I agree politically, there's one thing I hope you take away from today's video. Always make decisions and take action based off what you desire and based off what you believe in. Don't do it based off fear. This isn't just for voting, but for every area of your life. You see, there's time in my life, many times in my life, where I've done things out of fear. I stayed in a relationship too long out of fear. Back in high school, I was dating a girl, and I knew I wasn't supposed to be with her, but I was too scared to break up with her because I was scared of what my classmates would think. And I figured all the girls are going to hate me because I broke up with her, so I'll never be able to get another date anyway. And because of the fear that I had, I stayed in that relationship, costing her time that she didn't have, costing me time I didn't have. And it wasn't until halfway through my freshman year in college that I actually got the courage and broke up with her. So that was a decision that I should have made long before I did. Another example of another decision I should have made, and I didn't because of fear, was leaving a job I was at. I was CTO of the company, and I was there for 14 years, and I should have only been there for about 10 years. About year 10, I knew I was supposed to move on. But fear kept me from moving on. So I stayed. And I stayed 4 years that I shouldn't have. And as a result, I lost a lot of momentum I would have had otherwise. Later on in my entrepreneurial journey, when I left that company and started my own company, after a few years, after attempting to do something else with a technology called the HoloLens, it didn't work out the way I was expecting it to. I found myself without any funds, or not very many funds anyway. And because of that fear, I went back into the workforce. And that's not something I should have done. But it was out of fear is why I made that decision. So I've made big decisions in my life out of fear instead of on my vision. So in this election season, I was thinking about this fear versus vision. When we have a vision, it actually allows us to make decisions that are in our well-being. We're actually making decisions and having expectations based off what we desire and what we want, instead of basing them off of fear of what we don't want. By focusing on fear, it actually robs us from what could be. And in fact, even though I titled, this video, fear or vision, it really should have been like anxiety or vision, because the definition of fear is actually about a real and present danger. It's a physical reaction that you have of a real and present danger. Fear. Somebody has a gun in your face. A snake, you run across a snake and it's, looks like it's about ready to attack you or whatever. Even if it's not, like the snake is right there, and that's fear. And that's real. And that's healthy. We need to have that kind of fear, because there's something that could cause us harm, and we have to make a decision on not keep going down the path we're going and do something different. Anxiety, though, is a perceived danger in the future. So fear is a clear and present danger now, while anxiety is a perceived danger in the future. And so as I'm talking about fear in this video, really what I'm talking about is anxiety. And that's exactly what political candidates want to do, is they want to say, hey, look here, if you vote for the other person, this is how bad your life's going to be, because all these things they want to take away, all these things they want to introduce, and it's going to fundamentally change your life. And you need to be scared of that. And while I definitely believe this is one of the most important elections, I actually think it's the most important election, I also know that God is in control, and that whoever he wants to be in leadership is going to be in leadership. We also know that we have free will as humans. And so we live in a republic where we've elected people, cast votes on our behalf. And if we, as the people, want something that's contrary to what he desires, then he'll likely let us have it. And there'll be repercussions for it in the future. So I definitely know he's in charge, but also know that it's my responsibility to do what I need to do. And so what is that? That's not being fearful based off what I'm hearing somebody say. It's not about having anxiety over what could occur. It's actually about looking within and saying, okay, what do I value? Based off that value that I have, these values that I have, what is it that I want in the future? What's my vision for the future? And then which policies and which candidates best align with my vision? That way I can make decisions not out of fear or anxiety, but based off my values and based off the vision that I have. And that's why I voted, because I want to see a vision that I have come true. And what is that? Well, a big thing is peace. See, I voted for Donald Trump. And whether you vote for Donald Trump or not, that's fine. We can still be friends. Or if I've committed the unpardonable sin to you and you can no longer speak to me, then I'm sorry. Hopefully you'll come back, not for my benefit, but there's just no way to live is to be divided to that extent. Thinking that if somebody doesn't agree with you on a certain aspect, that you can't have conversations with them or learn something from them. But my goal here is not to divide. My goal here is to actually unite. And back to the peace thing. President Trump, he is the only president since I've been alive who did not bring us into another war and actually ended wars while he was president. So back in 2016 in the primaries, there was 18 Republicans and several Democrats, and they were running to see who could be the primary candidate for those parties. And out of all the people that was running, I knew right away it's going to be between Trump and it's going to be Clinton. Trump and Clinton. Because they had the biggest names. And it seems in American politics, it's about name recognition more than anything else. This is why you'll see people whose kids will run. And because of their name recognition, they'll get into office, even if they had totally opposite values of their parents. But in 2016, I wanted to actually vote for Ben Carson. That's who I desired to vote for. By the time they came to my state, however, Ben Carson already dropped out. So I voted for Trump in the primaries. And then I voted for him as president. And then again in 2020. And then just voted for him again in 2024. Peace is a big deal to me. Another big deal to me is I support responsibility And I think people should choose responsibility and be in massive support for life. So, while my opinions may not align with most Americans on this, and they don't even align with President Trump on this, it's much closer aligned with President Trump than it is with Vice President Harris. Why do I talk about the election? Am I trying to persuade you to vote for Trump? No, I'm not. Obviously, I think it'll be better for our country if you do. But that's not for me to say, for you. You have to look at your values. You have to look at what you desire, and you have to make a decision for yourself. I just ask that you actually look at the decision you're making and confirm that it matches your values. That's all. Don't make a decision at the polls or a decision in life and business based off fear. The Bible says, be anxious for nothing, but in everything, with prayer and supplication, give thanks to the Lord. Be anxious for nothing. It's hard to do. But if we have faith and have expectations of good things happening, it becomes much easier not to have that type of anxiety. The main thing is to determine what your values are and then craft a vision based off your values. And then when it comes to voting, determine which policies, which candidates best align with your vision for the future, for you, for your family, and for the country that you live in. If you want to explore more on living a life rooted in purpose and making decisions that reflect the person you want to become, check out my Unlock Fulfillment playlist. In here, I dive into principles that can help you build a life of intention, courage, and clarity in all areas of your life. Thank you for watching. Thank you for taking the time to reflect and determine if you're doing things out of fear or doing things out of your vision. And whatever your decision is in this election and in life, I hope you find purpose in it.